He thought everything in life had a price, until he met the one woman who couldn't be bought. When a billionaire playboy collides with a purpose-driven woman rooted in faith and strength, the rules of love, power, and trust get rewritten. This isn't about games. This is about growth, grace, and what happens when two people challenge each other to become more than they imagined. Hello family, welcome to Storytime with Imzi. Please subscribe and like, it means the world to us. Also share this video to your friends and loved ones and turn on post notifications so you don't miss future videos from us. Thank you as you do so. Sit back and relax as we dive into the story. Julian Walker was restless. The rooftop gala was expensive, exclusive, and exhausting. Everyone in the room had money, or wanted his. Champagne flowed, laughter echoed, and conversations floated just above shallow. It should have felt like power. It felt like noise. Across from him, Malik Reed watched with a grin. You look like someone just served you tap water. Julian raised an eyebrow. I'm trying to remember when any of this was actually exciting. You're spoiled. That's your problem. Malik sipped his drink. Come on, just admit it. There's not a woman in this room who can keep your attention for more than a night. Julian gave a lazy smirk. Because none of them are a challenge. Malik leaned in. All right then, let's put that arrogance to work. Julian raised a brow. Next woman who walks in, Malik said, motioning toward the grand entrance. Bet you can't get her number by the end of the night. Julian laughed. That's too easy. Malik's grin widened. If she turns you down, you donate $1 million to that youth program your PR team's always pretending you care about. Julian took one last sip of his drink. Deal. The doors opened, and in walked a woman who didn't belong and didn't care. Naomi Brooks. She wore a simple navy dress, her hair in soft curls pinned back from her face. No jewels. No designer bag. Just a clipboard in one hand and a purpose in the other. Julian straightened slightly. Who is that? Malik looked up. Oh, Naomi. Church girl. Youth director at some nonprofit. Definitely not your usual. Julian was already moving. Perfect. She was focused, skimming a donor list and checking her watch. Julian approached with practiced ease. Julian Walker, he said, voice smooth. Naomi glanced up. I know. He offered a smile. And you are. Busy. She turned back to the clipboard. Julian chuckled. You always this direct? When I need to be. She looked at him, eyes clear and unreadable. Let me guess. You want to charm me, impress me, and walk away with my number like it's a trophy. He raised his eyebrows. You skipped a few steps. I've met your type before, she said. And I don't like games. No games, Julian replied. Just conversation. Naomi handed him a flyer from the table. Here's a better idea, donate. Help the kids. That would actually impress me. Then she turned and walked away, completely calm. Unshaken. Julian stared after her, caught somewhere between offended and intrigued. Across the room, Malik lifted his glass. That a no? Julian didn't respond. For the first time in years, he was the one being pursued by curiosity. And it wore navy blue and a silver cross. Julian Walker wasn't used to being dismissed. He'd built empires with a phone call. Closed $1 million deals with a handshake. Women didn't walk away from Julian. They leaned in. But Naomi Brooks? She didn't flinch. Didn't smile politely. Didn't care who he was. And somehow, that made her unforgettable. He tried to shake it off. Spent the next day in meetings, closing a waterfront development deal and pretending her voice wasn't echoing in the back of his mind. I don't like games. That night, he sat on the edge of his penthouse balcony, drink untouched. She said no. Malik reminded him over speakerphone, clearly enjoying this. You gonna pay up or make excuses? Julian exhaled. I'll write the check. Wow. Growth. He hung up before Malik could gloat further. 2 days later, Julian walked into the Next Step Youth Center, unannounced. He wore his usual uniform, tailored slacks, a cashmere sweater, and an expression that said he didn't wait in lobbies. A young volunteer greeted him at the front. Can I help you? I'm here to donate, he replied smoothly. Or volunteer. Or both. Naomi appeared around the corner, arms crossed. Or stalk. Julian smiled, unbothered. Just wanted to see what kind of place inspires someone like you. She gave him a look. You really don't need to impress me. I'm not trying to impress you, he said. I'm trying to understand you. She studied him. And you think a tour is going to do that? I think showing up is a start. Naomi hesitated, then stepped aside. Fine. Follow me. No cameras, no entourage, no charm tactics. Julian walked behind her as she moved through the center, showing him the classrooms, the computer lab, the basketball court in the back. The space was simple but alive. Posters of black leaders lined the halls. Teenagers laughed from behind a closed door. There was energy here. Hope. This place runs on donations, mentorship, and prayer, she explained. In that order. Julian nodded. I can help with 2 out of 3. She smirked slightly but didn't comment. At the end of the tour, she handed him a clipboard. Orientation's next Thursday. If you're serious, you'll show up. I will. Naomi gave a short nod. We'll see. As Julian walked out, he glanced back once and caught her watching him. Just for a second. Julian had never been to a church that didn't feel like a stage. Growing up, his mother dragged him to glossy sanctuaries with marble floors and LED walls. They preached about prosperity more than peace, and he'd stopped going altogether before he turned 20. But New Grace Church was different. It was quiet, intimate, humble. No show, no production, just warmth. He sat in the back, hands in his lap, unsure why he'd come. Only that Naomi had mentioned it once, and he hadn't stopped thinking about her since. The choir swayed gently, voices rising in smooth harmony. Nothing flashy, just real, honest. Then came Pastor Evelyn Brooks, tall, graceful, with a calm that quieted the whole room. She spoke with clarity, not volume. Too many people, she said, confuse self-worth with market value. But you're not for sale. You are chosen, not priced. Julian sat up straighter. He wasn't sure if she saw him or just sensed him, but the words hit harder than expected. He looked toward the front, and there was Naomi, sitting alone in the second pew, her head bowed in thought. Peaceful, centered, like she belonged in a way he couldn't yet name. After service, he waited outside, hands in his pockets. When Naomi stepped out, her face went flat the moment she saw him. You're brave, she said. Julian shrugged. I've done scarier things than walk into a church. Like lie to women? He smirked. That was before I met one I couldn't lie to. Naomi exhaled, almost amused. You're still playing. I'm not, he said quietly. Look, I didn't come here for a scene. I came to listen. To understand who you are when no one's trying to impress you. She studied him. You heard the sermon? She asked. Every word. Naomi nodded slowly. Then you know, some people don't have a price. We have purpose. Julian gave a small smile. Maybe I'm trying to find mine. Her gaze lingered for a moment. Then she handed him a folded paper, a youth center volunteer schedule. Be on time, she said. No assistance. No excuses. And with that, she walked away, leaving Julian standing in the sunlight, holding the first thing in years that felt like a real invitation. Julian showed up early. It was his first day volunteering at the next step, and for once, no one was waiting on him. No valet, no tailored suit, just sneakers, rolled-up sleeves, and a clipboard with his name written in black marker. Look at you, Naomi said as she walked in, eyeing him from head to toe. Didn't think you owned clothes without embroidery. Special occasion, he replied. Trying to look like a man of the people. Naomi raised a brow. Be a man of the people. That'll get you further. Julian spent the next 2 hours helping a group of teens build mock business plans. At first, they kept their distance, watching him like a stranger in their house. But one question, what would you sell if you had $100 in 1 week? Sparked a storm of ideas. He didn't talk at them. He listened. And by the end of the session, they were laughing. Not at him. With him. Afterwards, Julian slumped into a folding chair in the back room, loosening his collar. Naomi walked in with 2 bottles of water. Didn't know you could sweat. I didn't know teaching was this hard. You think we just play with kids all day? He smiled, accepting the water. I stand corrected. She sat across from him, her posture relaxed. Still cautious, but less closed. You were good with them, she said. Thanks. A pause. Then, I didn't expect it to matter to me. But it does. Naomi watched him carefully. Why now? Julian looked down at the bottle in his hand. Because I'm tired of impressing people who don't actually care if I'm a good man, he said quietly. They just care that I'm a rich one. Her expression softened slightly. You're learning, she said. He met her eyes. I had a good teacher. Naomi gave him a look. Slow down, Romeo. This isn't a movie. Julian laughed, leaning back in the chair. You sure? Because the chemistry's undeniable. She rolled her eyes, but didn't leave. Didn't dismiss him. For Julian, that was a win. The center was quiet, eerily so. Most of the kids had gone home, and the rest were outside playing basketball under the parking lot lights. Inside, it was just Julian and Naomi, cleaning up the last of the snack wrappers and stacked worksheets. Julian wiped down a table with a damp cloth, sleeves rolled up. This is starting to feel normal, he said. Naomi glanced over. Wiping tables? No, he smirked. Being here. With you. With them. She smiled faintly, but said nothing. He watched her for a beat. You always this guarded, or is it just around me? Naomi gave a soft laugh, low and tired. It's not just you. Is it your dad? He asked gently. She didn't respond right away. She finished folding the last stack of handouts and placed them in a bin before finally speaking. He was a pastor, she said. Respected. Loud. The kind of man who could talk anyone into anything. Julian leaned against the table, listening. But at home, he was different. He'd preach trust and accountability from the pulpit, then steal from the offering. Smile on Sundays, curse on Mondays. Lied to my mom for years, and when it all came out, she shrugged. He disappeared. Just like that. Julian's expression shifted. You were how old? 16. She looked at him. I learned fast that image and integrity aren't the same thing. I know that too well. Naomi tilted her head. Your dad? Julian nodded. Never left, but I kind of wish he had. He was angry. Always angry. My mother used to say he loved control more than he loved people. When he couldn't control her, he tried to control me. Naomi looked at him, really looked. You ever talk to him now? Not since the hospital, he said. He got sick 2 years ago. I paid the bills, made sure he had the best care. But I didn't visit. She didn't judge. Didn't nod in sympathy. She just sat with it. Let it land. That's the thing about pain, Naomi said. You think you bury it, but it shows up in how you love. Or don't. Julian looked down, thumb tracing the edge of the table. I built this whole life, he said. Success, money, press, attention. I thought if I got enough of it, the silence would feel like peace. Naomi's voice softened. And now? Julian met her eyes. Now, I just want something that's real. Something that doesn't disappear when the spotlight moves. Naomi crossed her legs, arms folded loosely across her lap. And you think you'll find that here? I don't know, he admitted. But I feel closer to it when I'm near you. She exhaled quietly. You say things like that so easily. Because I mean them. Naomi studied him for a moment. I've spent years building my peace. I won't let someone walk into my life and knock it all down for entertainment. Julian didn't flinch. Then I'll stand at the door until I earn the right to be let in. She didn't smile. But she didn't shut the door either. Instead, she said, We'll see. Then she stood and grabbed her bag, glancing at the time. I have early service prep tomorrow. Lock up when you leave. Julian nodded. Yes, ma'am. As she walked out, he watched her go with something new settling in his chest. Not desire, not pride. Respect. And maybe for the first time, hope. The youth center buzzed with life. Julian stood near the back wall, arms crossed, watching one of the teens confidently present a project they'd built together. An online sneaker resale plan complete with profit margins. He found himself nodding, genuinely impressed. Naomi sat beside the student, her expression proud but calm. She didn't seek credit. She never did. She just made room for others to shine. Julian liked that about her. More than he wanted to admit. After the presentation, he caught Naomi by the office door. You're amazing with them, he said. She gave a small smile. They make it easy. Julian paused, then asked, Dinner? Naomi arched a brow. A date. Just food. And maybe conversation. She hesitated. Then, one dinner. They met 2 nights later at a small bistro in Inman Park. No paparazzi. No flash. Just wood tables, soft lighting, and jazz humming through the speakers. I almost didn't come, Naomi admitted over pasta. Why? Because I like you, she said honestly. And I don't trust that yet. Julian leaned in. You can. Her smile wavered, unsure. I hope so. And for the first time, something between them started to settle. Less spark, more substance. Until the next morning. Malik's name flashed across Julian's phone. Malik, check your inbox. Thought you should see this before it spreads. Julian opened the email. His stomach dropped. A forwarded message. Screenshots. Receipts. A leaked group chat thread from weeks ago, right after the gala. Malik laughing with a few industry boys, talking about Julian's bet. The line was clear. He said every woman has a price. Said he'd crack the church girl by the end of the month. Malik hadn't said Julian's name directly. But the timestamps, the context, it didn't matter. Anyone reading it could connect the dots. Naomi would know. She did. Julian showed up to the center that afternoon. Naomi met him in the hallway, holding the printout in her hand. Tell me it's fake, she said quietly. He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. Naomi's jaw tightened. So it was a joke. A challenge. It started that way, Julian said, voice strained. But it changed. I changed. Her eyes filled, but she didn't cry. You made me a dare, Julian. You walked into my life and disrespected everything I stand for. It was stupid. I know. I didn't think. No. You didn't feel, she snapped. And now, all of this? She motioned to the youth center, the kids. It's tainted. You think they won't find out? I'll take the blame, he said. Say it was all me. It was all you. Silence. Julian stepped forward. I never meant to hurt you. But you did, Naomi said. And trust? That's not something I hand out twice. She turned and walked away. Julian didn't follow. He knew this wasn't the kind of wound flowers or apologies could fix. This was the kind that required change. Real change. Julian didn't go back to the center the next day. Or the day after that. He didn't text Naomi. Didn't try to defend himself. Not because he didn't want to, but because for once he understood that doing less could be the first step in doing better. So he disappeared from the public side of things. Behind the scenes, he got to work. The first thing he did was call his foundation director and redirect funds. A quiet donation to the next step, enough to keep the center running for the next 2 years. No press release. No name attached. Just an envelope hand-delivered with the words, for the future they deserve. He also pulled out of a flashy hotel project that would have displaced 3 local programs, including a mentorship group the youth center partnered with. His team pushed back. He didn't care. Legacy doesn't have to be loud, he told them. At night, he sat on his balcony overlooking the city alone. No parties. No women. No noise. He read more. Journaled. Watched interviews with nonprofit leaders, school founders, community organizers. He wanted to understand what real service looked like, not charity, but commitment. For the first time, Julian Walker was doing something without asking what he'd get back. And that shift? It changed him. Weeks passed. Naomi moved forward. She threw herself into work, into church, into late nights organizing fundraisers. But there were moments, brief, quiet moments, when she found herself wondering what he was doing. Then one day, Pastor Evelyn called her into the office. I thought you should see this, she said, handing her a financial report. Naomi scanned it. Her eyes widened. Who? Evelyn smiled knowingly. Anonymous, but I think you already know. Naomi stared at the paper, heart conflicted. She wasn't impressed by money. But the silence behind it? That spoke louder than anything he'd ever said. Later that night, Naomi found a letter in her church mailbox. No name, just a clean envelope with her name handwritten across it. Inside, one page. Naomi, I won't ask for another chance. You deserve more than a recycled apology. But I want you to know, what started as a bet turned into the most honest reflection of my life. You weren't part of a game. You were the beginning of something I didn't know I needed. I'm not chasing you. I'm building myself. And if one day our paths cross again, no expectations, no pressure, I hope you'll see the difference. Julian. Naomi read the letter twice, folded it once, and held it in her lap for a long, long time. The community center was packed. Families filled the rows of folding chairs, Kids ran between tables, and the air smelled like catered barbecue and pound cake. It was the Next Step's annual youth celebration, and Naomi was front and center, clipboard in hand, as always. Everything ran smoothly. Of course it did. But her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. She stepped up to the podium near the end of the evening. The room quieted. "Tonight is about honoring our kids," she said, scanning the room. "Their courage, their growth, their voice. This place exists because of them, and for them." She paused, fingers tightening slightly on the mic. "And while I don't usually get personal, tonight I want to say this. Don't let your past teach you to expect pain. Let it teach you how to recognize peace. Because when you stop waiting for people to disappoint you, you start seeing who's really showing up." The room applauded. Naomi stepped back, heartbeat loud in her ears. She felt it before she saw him. Julian. He stood near the back, no spotlight, no fanfare. Just a simple jacket, pressed jeans, and something softer in his eyes. When their eyes met, he didn't smile. He just nodded, quiet, respectful, steady. After the crowd thinned out, Naomi found him outside near the parking lot, hands in his pockets. "I didn't expect to see you here," she said. "I didn't expect to be invited," he replied. "You weren't." They stood there for a moment, the air thick but not heavy. "I read your letter," Naomi said. He nodded. "I meant every word." "I know." Another pause. Julian stepped a little closer. "I'm not here to win you back." Naomi raised an eyebrow. No, he said. "I'm here to show you I'm not that man anymore. And maybe just stand near you. That's enough for me." Naomi looked at him, really looked. And for the first time, there was no guard, no game, no tension. Just two people who had been through their own storms and were finally standing in the same light. She smiled softly. "You're late." He blinked. "Late. To the version of yourself I could have trusted back then." Julian looked down, then back up. "But I made it." "You did." A moment passed. Then Naomi extended her hand. "Walk me to my car?" He smiled, taking it gently. "No price tag," she said as they walked. Julian laughed. "No negotiations. Just steps. Side by side."